The bathroom door wouldn't close. I stood there, jeans around my ankles, trying to pull it shut while 3 girls waited outside, their giggles sharp as broken glass. The stall was too narrow, my hips pressed against both sides, flesh spilling over the metal walls, and no amount of sucking in would make me fit. "Just use the handicapped one," someone said, not even trying to whisper. "That's what it's for, right? The disabled." More laughter. I gave up, sat down with the door wide open and peed while they watched, while they took pictures, while I died inside one click at a time. My name is Ashley, Ashley Marie Coleman, though most people at Riverside High just call me other things. I'm 18 now, writing this from my bedroom in Zanesville, Ohio, where I've spent most of the last year hiding from a world that seems designed to remind me I don't fit. The scale this morning read 347 pounds. That's down from my highest of 389, but still enough to make every day feel like a performance where I'm always failing. People say I'm trapped in my own body, but they're wrong. I'm trapped in their eyes, their whispers, their barely concealed disgust. My body is the only home I've ever known. It's the world outside that feels like a cage. I remember being small. Not thin, I was never thin, but small enough to fit. Small enough to shop at normal stores, to ride roller coasters, to dream about prom dresses instead of whether I'd find anything that covered my arms. Mom has this photo on the fridge from my 10th birthday. Me in a pink party dress from Target, smiling with cake on my face. I was chubby, sure, but I was happy. I didn't know yet that my body was wrong, that I was wrong, that everything about me took up too much space in a world that wanted girls to disappear. The weight came on slowly at first, then all at once. Puberty hit like a freight train when I was 11, bringing curves to all the wrong places. While other girls grew breasts and hips, I grew everything. My period started, and with it came a hunger I couldn't control. Mom took me to doctor after doctor, each one saying the same thing. Portion control, more exercise, it's just baby fat. But it wasn't baby fat. It was something deeper, something broken in the way my body processed food, processed feelings, processed life. Dad left when I was 12, not all at once. First it was business trips that got longer, phone calls that got shorter, dinners where he'd stare at me like I was a stranger. The last fight I heard through the walls. "She's your daughter too," Mom screamed. "Then why doesn't she look like it?" he shot back. He moved to Columbus with his secretary, started a new family with thin kids who played soccer and looked good in Christmas cards. I still get those cards. His new life in glossy 4x6 while I'm cropped out of existence. Food became everything Dad wasn't. Reliable, present, comforting. After school, I'd stop at the Gas and Go and load up. Hostess cupcakes, family-sized bags of Doritos, those huge fountain drinks that could drown sorrow in high fructose corn syrup. The cashier, Brenda, would ring me up without comment, though I saw the pity in her eyes. "Hungry day, hun?" she'd ask sometimes, and I'd nod, unable to explain that hungry didn't cover it. I was starving for something food couldn't fill, but I kept trying anyway. By freshman year, I weighed 250 pounds. High school in small-town Ohio was brutal for anyone different, but being the fat girl was its own special hell. The desks were too small. I'd have to turn sideways, my stomach pressed against the edge, cutting off circulation until my legs went numb. Gym class was torture. Running the mile became walking. The mile became sitting on the bleachers with a forged doctor's note, because watching everyone lap me was worse than failing. The locker room was where hope went to die. Changing for gym meant exposing my body to girls who weighed what I'd weighed in elementary school. I'd wait until everyone left, change in the bathroom stall, when I fit, or skip class entirely. The shower stalls had no curtains. just open spaces where normal-sized girls could rinse off while I stood there, fully dressed, pretending I didn't need to shower. I spent freshman year smelling like shame and secret deodorant, too terrified to be naked even for a moment. If you've ever stood in a locker room, holding your clothes like armor, pretending you forgot your gym uniform again rather than admit nothing fits, I see you. If you've ever calculated whether the humiliation of changing in front of others is worse than the humiliation of failing PE, you're not alone. If you've ever felt like your body is a costume you can't take off, a prison you built bite by bite, know that someone else understands. This pain you're carrying, I carry it too. The bullying was relentless but creative. Someone created a Twitter account called Zanesville Whale Watch that documented my movements. Pictures of me in the lunch line, captions about feeding time at SeaWorld, videos of me struggling upstairs, set to earthquake sound effects, memes comparing me to Precious, to Honey Boo Boo's mom, to actual livestock. The worst part? Teachers followed the account. I know because I saw their likes. Sophomore year brought new humiliations. The school play needed someone to play Tracy Turnblad in Hairspray, the fat girl who dreams of dancing. They practically begged me to audition. "It's perfect for you," Mrs. Davidson gushed. "You wouldn't even need padding." I wanted to sing, to perform, to be something other than the fat girl for once. But being typecast as the fat girl who gets to be happy in a musical felt worse than being the fat girl who didn't get to be anything at all. Dating was a joke without a punchline. Boys would ask me out as dares, their friends filming from across the cafeteria to catch my hopeful face before the reveal. Jake Morrison kept a running bet on whether he could get me to send nudes, telling everyone he wanted to see if fat girls really did have more to love. When I finally broke down and sent a picture, clothed, just my face, he printed it out and drew a pig's body underneath. It stayed taped to his locker for a week before administration noticed. I tried every diet known to mankind. Keto left me dizzy and constipated. Weight Watchers meant sitting in a circle with middle-aged women who complained about losing the same 20 pounds while I needed to lose 200. Slim Fast tasted like chalk and broken promises. I'd lose 10 pounds, gain 15, lose 20, gain 30. My body clung to weight like it was preparing for a famine that never came. The breaking point started with a field trip junior year. We were going to Cedar Point, and I'd been dreading it for weeks. Roller coasters have weight limits, seat sizes, safety restrictions designed for normal bodies. I watched my friends ride the Millennium Force while I held their bags, pretending I was afraid of heights rather than admit I was afraid of not fitting. But it was the Raptor that broke me. I waited in line for an hour, got to the front, sat down, and the harness wouldn't close. The ride operator pushed, pulled, called for backup, the whole platform watching as two grown men tried to force my body into a space it couldn't occupy. "I'm sorry, miss," one finally said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You'll have to exit." The walk of shame passed the entire line, their eyes following my every step, their silence worse than laughter. That night in the hotel, while my roommates slept, I Googled painless suicide methods for fat people, because even dying felt like something I'd fail at. Pills might not work with my body mass. Hanging required finding something that could hold my weight. Every method seemed designed for thin people. One more thing I couldn't do right. I stayed up until dawn, reading forum posts from other fat people who felt like living was the hardest thing they'd ever done. At least I wasn't alone in wanting to disappear. Senior year started at 360 pounds. College applications asked for photos. Scholarship interviews required professional presentation. Everything about future planning seemed predicated on fitting into spaces. Desk chairs, dorm beds, airplane seats to fly to campus visits. I applied to online schools only, too terrified to imagine navigating a new place where my body would be even more visible, More wrong, more in the way. The breaking point came in October, picture day. The photographer kept backing up, trying to fit everything in frame. When the proofs came back, they cropped me at the shoulders, a floating head, because my body was too much for a standard yearbook square. But it was what happened next that shattered me. Someone leaked the uncropped photos. Full body shots the photographer had taken for testing. They went viral in our school. Ashley Coleman, too big for the yearbook, became a meme. People printed them out, drew circles around my stomach, my arms, my chins, posted them on Instagram with captions like "Meanwhile in Ohio" and "This is why we need fitness requirements." I stopped going to school. Not officially, Mom still thought I left every morning. But I'd drive to the park and sit in my car eating drive-through breakfast and waiting for 3:15 when I could go home. I did this for 3 weeks before the attendance office called. By then, I'd gained another 20 pounds, bringing me to my highest, 389. I was 17 years old and nearly 400 pounds, sitting in a Honda Civic that groaned under my weight, hiding from a world that had made it clear I didn't belong. The intervention was gentle but devastating. Mom, my Aunt Linda, my guidance counselor Mrs. Peterson, and surprisingly Brenda from the Gas and Go. They sat me down in our living room on the couch that had my permanent indent and told me they were scared. Not disappointed, not disgusted, scared. Mom had found my search history. Brenda had noticed I'd stopped coming in, worried I'd done something drastic. They'd compared notes and realized I was disappearing, just not in the way I'd wanted. "We almost lost your father to his choices," Mom said, crying. "I can't lose you to yours." It was the first time she'd admitted Dad's leaving was about more than my weight. That his inability to love me, as I was said, more about him than me. That maybe, possibly, I deserved better than the contempt I'd been feeding myself along with everything else. They'd found a program, not a fat camp or a quick fix surgery, but a residential treatment center for eating disorders. A place where being 389 pounds wasn't a moral failing but a medical condition. Where therapists understood that binge eating was as real as anorexia, just more visible. Where I could learn to exist in my body without apologizing for it. I said no at first. Treatment meant admitting I had a problem beyond being lazy or lacking willpower. It meant facing whatever was driving me to eat myself to death. It meant hoping, and hope hurt worse than hunger. But then Brenda said something that cracked me open. "Honey, you've been carrying this weight a lot longer than you've been heavy. Maybe it's time to put some of it down." Treatment was terrifying. 30 days in Columbus, surrounded by other girls fighting their own food demons. Some skeletal, some like me, all of us broken in different ways. Group therapy where we excavated traumas like archaeologists. Individual sessions where Dr. Martinez helped me connect dots I'd been eating to avoid. Family week where Mom and I screamed years of hurt at each other before collapsing into tears and truth. I learned that my binging started when Dad left. That food was the only constant in a world that felt unstable. That every diet had failed because I was trying to fix my body when the problem was my heart. That being fat in a fat-phobic world was traumatic, but trauma didn't have to be terminal. Slowly, meal by supervised meal, I began to see food as fuel instead of therapy, comfort, or punishment. The weight didn't melt off. This isn't that kind of story. But it stopped climbing. 389 became 385, became 380. Small numbers that felt like mountains. I learned to eat when hungry, stop when full. Foreign concepts after years of eating to numbness. I learned to move my body without punishment, walking the treatment center grounds without counting calories burned. I learned that my worth wasn't measured in pounds lost, but in days survived. Coming home was harder than treatment. Nothing had changed except me. The Twitter account was still active, The yearbook photos still circulated. The world still wasn't built for my body, but I was different. Not fixed. I'll never be fixed, but healing. Learning to take up space without apology. Learning that maybe I deserve to exist, all 380 pounds of me. I started seeing a therapist in Zanesville, Dr. Kim, who'd been fat herself and understood the specific grief of living in a body the world rejects. We worked on practical things: how to ask for seatbelt extenders without shame, how to respond to comments without internalizing them, how to exist in public without armor. But mostly, we worked on forgiveness, forgiving my body for being what it is, forgiving myself for the years of damage, forgiving a world that might never see me as fully human. I went back to school for the last semester. Walking those halls at 375 pounds felt like walking through fire. The stairs were the same, the whispers unchanged, but I was different. When someone mooed, I didn't run to the bathroom to binge. When Jake Morrison asked if I'd gotten bigger, I said yes, and watched him struggle with my refusal to be ashamed. I still didn't fit in the desks, but I asked for accommodations without apologizing. I was still the fat girl, but I was beginning to be other things too. Graduation was a victory I'd never thought I'd see. Walking across that stage in a cap and gown that actually fit. We'd had to special order it, but we did it without shame. Felt like defiance. They called my name, and I walked without rushing, letting my body move at its own pace, taking up all the space I needed. Some people clapped, some didn't. But I was there, alive, graduating, proving wrong every statistic about fat girls like me. I'm 18 now, taking a gap year before starting online college. Not because I'm still hiding, but because I need time to keep healing. I see Dr. Kim twice a week. I go to Overeaters Anonymous meetings in the basement of First Methodist, sitting in a circle with other people who understand that sometimes food feels like the only friend who won't leave. I'm building a life that has room for my body as it is, not as it might be someday. The scale reads 347 this morning. That's 42 pounds down from my highest, but the numbers matter less than the life I'm living. I can walk to the mailbox without gasping. I can go to the grocery store without planning escape routes. I can exist in public without armor made of hoodies and jokes about myself before anyone else can make them. These sound like small victories because they are. Recovery is built on small victories. Some days are harder than others. Some days the mirror is my enemy and food calls like an old lover. Some days I want to hide in my car again, to disappear into drive-thrus and self-hatred. But I don't. Or when I do, I forgive myself and try again tomorrow. Because recovery isn't perfection, it's persistence. It's choosing to believe I deserve to take up space in this world, even when the world disagrees. If you're reading this from your own cage, whether it's a bedroom, a body, or a life that feels too small, know that you're not alone. Know that the mean girls in the bathroom, the boys who make bets, the adults who should know better but don't, they're not your jury. They don't get to decide if you deserve to exist. You do. And you deserve to exist fully, completely, unapologetically. I still live in Zanesville, in the same house with the same mom who's learning to love me without trying to fix me. I still see Brenda at the Gas and Go, though now I buy coffee and conversation instead of numbness. I still carry more weight than the world thinks I should. But I'm learning to put down the weight that was never mine to carry. The shame, the apologies, the belief that I need to earn the right to exist. The bathroom stalls at Riverside High are still too narrow, the desks still too small, the world still not built for bodies like mine. But I'm building a life that fits me, pound by pound, day by day. I'm creating space for myself in a world that would prefer I shrink. I'm learning that taking up space isn't a sin. It's a sign that I'm still here, still fighting, still refusing to disappear. My name is Ashley Marie Coleman. I am 18 years old. I weigh 347 pounds. I live in Zanesville, Ohio, in a body that the world calls a prison, but I'm learning to call home. People trapped me in their expectations, their disgust, their inability to see past my size. But I'm finding my own keys, my own exits, my own way to be free. The cage was never my body. It was the belief that my body made me less deserving of life. That belief is what I'm shedding pound by painful pound. Not the weight, though that's changing too, but the weight of other people's opinions, the weight of shame I never should have carried, the weight of believing I needed to be different, to be worthy. I'm still trapped some days, still fighting to fit in a world that wasn't made for me. But I'm learning that maybe the goal isn't to fit. Maybe it's to make space, to expand the world's definition of who belongs, to exist so loudly and fully that other fat girls see me and think maybe they can too. There's a photo on my phone from last week. I'm at the park where I used to hide in my car, but this time I'm on the swing. The chain's grown a little and I barely fit between them, but I'm swinging, hair flying, face turned to the sun, living a moment I'd denied myself for years because I thought joy had a weight limit. Brenda took the picture. I still have hard days. Days when the old voices creep in, when the mirror becomes a fun house of distortion, when food feels like the only solution to problems food can't solve. But now I have tools. I call Dr. Kim. I text my OA sponsor. I walk to the park and swing until the urge passes. I remind myself that healing isn't linear, that recovery includes relapse, that tomorrow is another chance to choose differently. "You look free," she said. And for the first time in my life, I felt it. Freedom doesn't look like the number on the scale. It looks like going to the doctor without rehearsing apologies, like buying clothes that fit now instead of gold clothes for a body that might never exist, like eating ice cream in public without performing shame, like answering, "How much do you weigh?" with, "Why do you need to know?" Freedom is refusing to make myself smaller in any way, just because the world demands it. The girls from the bathroom that day. They're all at college now, probably still taking pictures of people who don't fit their definition of normal. Jake Morrison works at his dad's car dealership, still making jokes at other people's expense. The Twitter account finally got shut down, but new ones pop up. The world hasn't changed, but I have, and that's enough. It has to be. Sometimes I drive past Cedar Point and think about trying again. Maybe the seats still won't fit. Maybe I'll still have to take that walk of shame, but maybe not. Maybe I'll ride every ride screaming with joy instead of fear. Or maybe I'll hold everyone's bags again, but this time by choice, not default. Maybe the victory isn't in fitting, but in showing up, in refusing to hide, in taking up whatever space I need without apology. Mom and I are planning a trip to Columbus next month. Not to see Dad, he's still sending Christmas cards with his replacement family, but to visit the treatment center, to thank them, to show the new girls that there's life after rock bottom. That 389 pounds doesn't have to be the end of the story. That healing is possible, even if it doesn't look like the before and after photos they sell on Instagram. I've started writing about my experience. Not diet tips or transformation stories, but the truth about living in a fat body in a thin world, about the 1,000 small cuts of existing outside the norm, about finding peace without finding skinny, about the radical act of not hating yourself in a world that profits from your self-loathing. Maybe someday it'll help another girl hiding in her car, Googling ways to disappear. The truth is, I may never be thin. My body holds weight like a grudge, and genetics aren't on my side. I may always shop in special sections, need seatbelt extenders, face stares, and whispers. But I'm learning that's okay. That my worth isn't inversely proportional to my weight. That I deserve love, respect, and dignity at any size. That the only person who needs to accept my body is me. And I'm getting there, slowly, carefully, with more grace than I ever gave myself before. I'm learning to see my body as a survivor not a failure. These stretch marks are battle scars. This stomach that won't flatten has kept me alive through trauma and treatment. These thick thighs have carried me through hell and back. This body, all 347 pounds of it, is proof that I'm stronger than everything that tried to break me. If you've ever felt trapped in your own skin, if you've ever believed the world would be better without you in it, if you've ever measured your worth in pounds lost or gained, please know you're not alone. Know that your body is not a cage, but a home. Know that the people who make you feel trapped are the ones who need to expand their definition of human. Know that you deserve to take up space, to nourish yourself, to exist without apology or explanation. I used to think I was trapped in my body. Now I know I was trapped in other people's perceptions of my body. Their limitations, not mine. Their narrow definitions of beauty, worth, humanity. But I'm breaking free, one day at a time, 1 pound at a time. And the pounds I'm losing aren't always physical. Sometimes they're the weight of shame, of others' expectations, of the belief that I need to shrink to deserve love. The world still isn't built for me. Airplane seats, restaurant booths, clothing stores, they all remind me daily that I exist outside the norm. But I'm building my own world. One where fat girls get to be happy without losing weight first. Where taking up space is neutral, not negative. Where bodies like mine are seen as human, not cautionary tales or before pictures or problems to solve. This morning, I stood in front of the mirror naked. Not to criticize or catalog flaws, but just to see. To witness the body that's carried me through 18 years of joy and pain. To thank it for surviving when I tried to destroy it. To promise to care for it, not because it might get smaller, but because it deserves care at any size. It was the hardest thing I've done all week, and the most necessary. Recovery doesn't have a finish line. There's no weight where suddenly everything becomes easy. No size where the world suddenly accepts you. No number on the scale that equals happiness. Recovery is daily choices. Choosing nourishment over punishment. Choosing movement over stagnation. Choosing to believe you deserve to exist exactly as you are. Some days I make those choices easily. Some days I fail, but I keep choosing, keep trying, keep believing that I deserve to be here. My therapist asked me last week what I'd tell my younger self. The girl crying in bathroom stalls, hiding in her car, Googling ways to die. I'd tell her she survives, not just physically, though that too. But she survives the shame, the humiliation, the belief that she's worthless. She survives long enough to find help, to find hope, to find herself under all that weight. Not the physical weight, but the weight of everyone else's judgment. I'd tell her that the bathroom door still won't close. The world still won't fit. People will still stare, still whisper, still take pictures. But she'll learn to exist anyway. To pee with the door open if she has to, metaphorically speaking. To take up space without shrinking. To know that the problem isn't her body, but a world too small to hold all the ways bodies can be. I'd tell her about swinging at the park, about Dr. Kim and Brenda, and all the people who see her as human, about OA meetings where everyone understands, about learning to eat without guilt, move without punishment, exist without apology, about the slow, daily work of healing that doesn't look like weight loss, but feels like coming home. Mostly, I tell her to hold on, that it gets different, if not always easier, that she deserves to see what different looks like, that her body is not a cage, but a vessel carrying her toward a life she can't imagine yet, a life where she writes her story instead of hiding from it, where she takes pictures in the sun instead of hiding in cars, where she learns that freedom isn't about fitting in, but about refusing to disappear. The shadows are still here. Some days they're all I can see. The shadow of who I should be, the shadow of others' expectations, the shadow of a world that wishes I took up less space. But I'm learning that shadows only exist where light is trying to reach, that even in darkness, I'm proof that light exists somewhere, looking for me, waiting for me to step into it. I'm not there yet, may never be fully there, but I'm moving toward it, one day at a time, one choice at a time, one breath at a time, learning that I deserve to be seen, to be known, to be loved, not despite my body, but in it, with it as it is. Learning that the cage was never my flesh, but the belief that my flesh made me less human. Learning to unlock doors I didn't know I had the keys to. My name is Ashley Marie Coleman. I am 18 years old. I weigh 347 pounds. I live in Zanesville, Ohio, in a body the world calls a prison, but I'm learning to call home. I was trapped not in my own body, but in the belief that my body made me unworthy of freedom. That belief is the only weight I'm committed to losing. The rest, we'll see. But either way, I'm here, taking up space, refusing to disappear, learning to live in the light, shadows, and all. This isn't the end of my story. It's not even the middle. It's just where I am today, in this body, in this moment, choosing to believe I deserve to be here. Choosing to hope that tomorrow will be different, even if different just means I choose to try again. Choosing to see my body not as a trap, but as the vehicle carrying me toward whatever comes next. And what comes next? I don't know. But I'll be there, all 347 pounds of me, ready to take up whatever space I need, ready to exist without apology, ready to prove that freedom isn't a size, but a state of mind, ready to keep walking toward the light, even when the shadows feel safer, because shadows only exist where light is trying to reach us. And maybe, just maybe, I'm finally ready to be reached, to be seen, to be free.